So what can you expect at that first court appearance after you've been arrested for a DUI? You know, as with many things in government, it's a lot of hurry up and wait when you've been arrested for a DUI. And unfortunately, you end up shouldering the burden of a lot of the uncomfortable consequences up front without having any real ability or leverage to accelerate the process to right any wrongs that may have occurred. So what I mean by that is, well, you've been arrested for DUI and you've had to bond out and maybe get your car out of impound and maybe have conversations with insurance, and you are now facing a license suspension. That case really doesn't get started for the prosecutor or for the courts until your first court date, which in some cases can be a few weeks after your arrest or a few months. Drivers often are anticipating very much what's going to happen in that first court date and hoping and expecting that maybe some wrongs will be righted. Everyone will have had time to review the case and understand all of the mistakes that may be ready, or they will be prepared to at least answer questions about the case. However, nothing could be farther from the truth from that first court date. You will be shocked to find that often in many jurisdictions, when you go to court, the prosecutor still hasn't gotten an opportunity to complete the file. So the prosecutor not only may not have a copy of your police report or video, they will in all likelihood not have had an opportunity to review either of those things either. And so really, from the prosecutor's view and the court's view, the first court date is not an opportunity to right any wrongs or really discuss anything significant about your case. Technically, that first court date is really just set up there so that the court can say, well, we brought in the driver and we told them what they were being officially accused of, and we offered them the opportunity to plead guilty or not guilty. Now, we say that this is an opportunity, but mostly what's going to happen at an arraignment, the default is a not guilty plea will be entered. And that often feels a little bit early for a lot of drivers because they say, well, what do you mean guilty or not guilty? We haven't even been able to discuss the facts of the case. How could we make a meaningful plea if we don't know what the blood test result is? For instance, if there's been a blood test, we don't know what the police officer is claiming specifically happened because we don't have the police report. And similarly, we don't know how the driver performed on field sobriety tests or what they said because we don't have the video. So it feels very premature to be making declarations about guilty or not guilty. So this is a place where, you know, drivers don't get caught up on the terminology. The default is not guilty, and almost everybody there who has an attorney will be entering a not guilty plea. That is what you do at the beginning of a criminal case. And later, the government will provide some of those discovery items, the video, the test results. And it seems a little bit like the putting the cart before the horse, but that is how our criminal justice system happens. So you should feel very safe with the not guilty. And in fact, if you went to court and didn't say anything, the judge would enter a not guilty plea on your behalf. That is how strong the default to not guilty at an arraignment is. So the good news is that you will in almost all likelihood not be leaving with a conviction or a guilty plea at the end of an arraignment, because that is almost never happens. The bad news is you also won't be leaving with a lot of answers about your case or confidence that you know, there's any movement forward towards acknowledging any of the issues that you probably feel are important to your case. So the first court date is often very anticlimactic for people. It's scary. It's time consuming if you have to physically appear. But it's often not very satisfying because there isn't going to be much of an opportunity to really discuss the substance of your case. Now, the good news is if before that first court date, you've been able to find your legal team, in most instances, your legal team is going to go and excuse you. So you don't have to go, and you can leave it to your legal team to do the heavy lifting.